All right, breakfast and snacks. We are going to take a pictorial approach to breakfast and snacks, and as well in the next lesson with lunches and dinners. We've talked a lot about numbers, we've talked label reading and so forth. I just wanted to take an opportunity as we close out the nutrition module with these last lessons to just look at things, because ultimately our lifestyle is not going to be one so heavily in dealing with numbers and so forth. We're going to use numbers and understanding calorie density and label reading to have us ultimately understand food to the point where we will still use those skills, but we'll likely need them less and less. And of course, we have a relationship with food that's also emotional, and visual is a big part of it, and the experience that we can get beyond just the technical numbers. And just look for a moment here at breakfasts and snacks. Now, obviously this is a collage of what might look like a lot of options, but there's a huge number of potential options that ultimately come down to the 5 core nutrition principles. Is it a thin liquid beverage calorie density, sodium density, saturated fat and cholesterol, and then protein and fiber, or for fiber you might as well call that smart carbs, really, because that's primarily where we get our carbs, our fiber from, our carbohydrates that are not processed. Some with nuts and seeds, true. Some fat sources have some fiber, but when it comes to the bulk of the fiber, we're talking about usually is going to be from sources that have a significant amount of healthy carbohydrate. In the case of beans and lentils and peas, even some protein. All right, that magic mix that legumes and why we love legumes give us. So you've seen some of these pictures before, so we'll kind of go from upper left to right, and then left to right in the middle, left to right in the bottom. The upper left is a restaurant meal, egg white frittata. You see we get the large volume. Where do you see the water? Water in the fruit, high water, high fiber. Water in the vegetables on top of the egg whites, high water, high fiber. The egg whites themselves, high water, high protein. And then my non-negotiable piece of crunchy toast. That is not high water, that's dry, that's calorie packed and probably has some sodium, but it's a non-negotiable. If I don't have it, people will get hurt. Not literally, but that's the point. That part isn't there as a health item so much as a non-negotiable. And frankly, though, a little bit of starch, because that's the only place where the starch is coming from, is important. And while in theory a high fiber, minimally processed piece would be of starch would be nice, this piece of bread, as whole grain as it might look, is probably not anywhere near a bean, but it was non-negotiable to me. Now the second picture in the upper row from the left. This is an interesting one. Talk about leftovers. There is a dish, in fact you'll see it again in the picture on the upper right. It's called mujadara. It's a lentil cracked wheat based dish that you get typically from you can make it at home, you can look it up online, mujadara, M-U-J-A-D-A-R-A. Sometimes they add an H at the end, mujadara, but mujadara. You typically get from a Middle Eastern, Lebanese type restaurant, for instance. And in the restaurant version, they'll typically use, though there's lentils and cracked wheat, and you think, then there's the fried onions, and then too much overall still salt and oil. But you don't have to eat the whole thing. You can bring, because it's typically a huge portion, you bring some home. And I just threw a sprinkle on a nonstick skillet. I know it's nonstick, but I still use a little pan butter flavored spray, and then poured egg whites right on top of it and made myself a mujadara omelet. Now I've got the healthy starch, even with some protein in the lentils, though we're getting more from the egg whites. High water, high protein, high fiber, and then with the egg whites, some high water, high protein together in a nice kind of single meal. So it might seem odd to put lentils or beans and egg whites, but why not? Point is, think outside the box. The next item is a breakfast item common in the Middle East. It's called fool. I know, fool? That sounds kind of weird. And it's spelled F-O-U-L typically, which you'd think would sound like foul. It's actually not foul, and you're no fool if you eat fool. It's made with crushed fava beans, typically chopped onions and chopped tomatoes. The issues with it, it typically comes with a ring of olive oil around the side. You want to ask them to not use that because there's already some oils built into the making of the fool, which is again crushed fava beans. It's in a sense kind of like crushed crushed Mexican beans, crushed beans in a Mexican dish. It's particularly great for me with some hard-boiled egg whites and some toasted whole wheat pita, which I don't have pictured there. But in and of itself is a nice warm type breakfast. You can, if you find a Middle Eastern place that's open in the morning like we have nearby here. The issue is typically the salt, because they'll use canned fava beans. But again, it's not an everyday item, and you might learn to make your own fool, which we did on the right. To the upper right, you'll see actually fool where the fava beans in the bowl on the lower part there are not as crushed, but made at home with a little bit less salt. Add nice warm fava beans, along with some of the mujadara that you just saw. That again, lentils, cracked wheat, mujadara, with some Greek yogurt and some sliced, a piece of Ezekiel 4-9 sprouted grain toast that actually comes with legumes. If you ever look at Ezekiel 4-9 bread in the frozen section, it actually has lentils in it, and it's toasted. It's wonderful when it's toasted. It's really the best way, other than in a French toast, which you'll see in the lower left, to have Ezekiel. It has to be toasted crunchy, in my opinion. Middle row, first on the left, again there you see your Ezekiel toasted crunchy, and I think I drizzled about a teaspoon of olive oil on there, maybe a sprinkle of Morton's light salt on top, and a nice simple spinach egg white omelet. So I saute the spinach right in the pan, little pan butter flavored spray. I'm pretty generous with it. Remember, pan butter flavored spray says 0 calories, not true. Those butter flavored sprays, those sprays that you spray from a can, it's 7 calories per second. The serving size is 1/3 of a second, which makes it less than 5 calories, which the FDA then allows it to say 0 calories, but fat does not become 0 calories. And no one uses 1/3 of a second. A second is 7 seconds. So, but even 3 seconds, that's a generous amount, spreads a nice thin surface area. It's only about 20 calories. Anyway, saute the spinach, pour the egg whites right in, then you see a nice, that is either Frog Ranch salsa, which is a great tasting salsa that they have a mild version. They have a medium version, I'm just not into too hot. Frog Ranch salsa, phenomenal for sodium, still great tasting. Or it could be the Dave's Gourmet spaghetti sauce, believe it or not, the roasted garlic and sweet basil, which is the one flavor from Dave's Gourmet that's lower in sodium and tastes fantastic. But the point is, hey, you can dress things up. You can even use a little Tabasco sauce. And there's also an Ezekiel, I think, cinnamon raisin muffin there with some no sugar added jelly from Smucker's. And blueberries, of course. So look at that. It's a huge volume for very few calories, and it's got great filling power and satisfying. In the middle, I wanted to spend a moment on meal replacements, because meal replacements, which are typically shakes, bars, or entrees in the medical world, work because of their portion control, their precision, and they're typically high nutrition, low calorie. In this case, it's a medical product you see called Z-Pro. It's literally my favorite product, and it's what I use in the house along with some Slim Fast high protein if I want a ready to drink that may not be as good as quality as Z-Pro, but sometimes when I just want to run out the door, I will use a Slim Fast high protein. But as far as flavor and nutrition goes, for 140 calories, 25 grams of protein, which means 100 of those calories are protein, very little carbohydrate, like 7 grams, and very little fat, no saturated fat. And for the vanilla flavor, the sodium is rather low. I love blending those in a blender with some spinach and some frozen berries, and you can whip that up. Tastes phenomenal. The flavoring they have, they use emulsifiers that are the three emulsifiers, all approved by the Center for Science and the Public Interest, that just make shakes taste great. Even if you're just going to mix it, as I did in the picture in the middle column, third in from the left, with some unsweetened soy milk. I love unsweetened soy milk for cereals and so forth. And it provides much better protein than rice milk or coconut milk or almond milk. It's got the type of protein that skim milk would have, but you skip the lactose and the dairy component. And mixing even half of a Z-Pro, let alone a whole packet, with some unsweetened soy milk by itself is great, and it mixes up really easy, whether you've got a shaker or even if you stir it. If you stir it, it still mixes so easily. It'll stir well. It might have a few clumps, but I remember those from even my kid days using, Nestle's Quick, and I like those little clumps. It still mixes very well. So meal replacements are an option. Shakes, bars, entrees. I don't want to discount that. For people that are really trying to get weight under control quickly, they're being medically monitored. Meal replacements have great evidence. It's just you have to learn about the next part. The maintenance. After Star Wars comes a Return of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. We will post my Power Protein pancakes recipe for you in the middle on the right if we haven't already. It is an easy, simple mix. So just take a cup of old-fashioned oatmeal, a cup of shredded wheat. You can even use a Kashi berry fruitful, which has a little bit of sugar in the middle of the shredded wheats, or you could just use plain shredded wheat along with a cup of each shredded wheat and a cup of old-fashioned oatmeal, about a cup of unsweetened soy milk, and then about a cup or so of egg whites, and then a nice ripe banana. And then you blend all of that up, and you got a great batter for pancakes. Again, we have a nice square skillet, little pan butter flavored spray, and I just make sure to spray the top of the pancake before I flip it. And before you flip it, you can also stick some berries in there. You can stick some blueberries in smiley face fashion and make your kids happy. This one I think, in fact, this one I think did have blueberries in it. And for my syrup of choice, you actually don't see the brand there, but you do in the lower left because it is the Maple Grove sugar-free syrup. They use some no-calorie sweeteners, but it tastes great and it's phenomenal. The sugar-free Maple Grove syrup you do see pictured in the lower left there is partnered with some Ezekiel cinnamon raisin French toast. Ezekiel 4.9 cinnamon raisin. Phenomenal toast, as I said, but for French toast, simple. Pan butter flavored spray in a pan, pour in the egg whites, dip in the bread right in the pan, so you don't have to soak it in a bowl and have something else to clean. But you have to then flip it immediately. As soon as you dip the first side in, don't wait more than a second and then flip it over because you don't want it stuck in the pan. That's just in there for a moment to soak up the egg whites on that side. Then you flip it over, and eventually you get good at flipping them. I partnered it with some blueberries and some of the sugar-free maple syrup, and wow, just fantastic. Something I make for the family, easy and quick. Almost done with this slide, so we've got the middle, we've got second from the left on the bottom, and that was basically just an egg white omelet plain, just cooked in a circle and then wrapped in a circle that was about the same size of whole wheat pita. I just used half of the whole wheat pita, so I split the pita in half, so I only needed one. You could use the whole thing if you want, but I'm trying to be careful on calorie-dense carbs and only as much as necessary. And I just partnered that with some actually fresh spinach because the hot egg whites and then the bread and the spinach went together easily, and you see a peach donut for dessert. All this stuff is so quick and easy. And then 2 fast food oatmeals on the right, bottom right. It's simple and easy, as I explained. Starbucks, how do you tweak it health-wise? I add a little protein by having them have steamed non-fat milk instead of water. Steamed non-fat, I typically ask them for no foam and extra, so it's kind of soupy. That way the oatmeal soaks up more and it's less calorie dense. And then for my toppings, I just ask them for 2 or 3 packets of nuts. And for reasons I've explained before, I skip the dried fruit because it's just more carbs than I need at that point, and I could have other ways to use dried fruit. And I skip the sugar. I just add a couple packets of Splenda, stir that up, put in 1 packet of nuts, and I got 2 packets to go with me. Great, quick, simple, easy. Same even at McDonald's. Quick modification there is you ask them for a little bit of extra water because otherwise they don't put in enough, and you want it to be lower in calorie density, more water. So just add some water, ask them for extra hot water either on the side or to put it in there, and ask for double the amount of diced apples and skip the dried fruit and cream. Most McDonald's have that all day long. All right. Some great breakfasts and to-go snack items from our lead navigator, Ricardo Villarosa. Big fan of turmeric. So when you see the egg whites in the upper left, it looks like whole eggs, right? But it's actually egg whites with turmeric, which is also part of mustard, which I like a lot. I love mustard. He really likes turmeric, so he's adding them in, and you see the beautiful fruit, and then he had some non-negotiable chips. Like me too, I love some chips. Him and I both love no salt added chips just as much, so he had just a nice portion, enough, especially if you want to make an argument that at breakfast might be the right time of day to save your willpower and throw in just a little touch of indulgence. But reality meets science there. In the middle, some nice avocado egg white toast. So on some nice crunchy, toasted crunchy Ezekiel, some egg whites with some avocado, which I might add a little bit of, crush it up and put in some garlic, maybe even just a little bit of Morton's light salt, and with some mixed greens on top. Beautiful. And there's a whole egg, sunny side up, as an occasional, right? So I probably have 5 egg yolks a year, for instance, just once in a while I have that hankering. And he used a true pasture-raised egg in this case for 1 piece on top of the Ezekiel. Again, just that slight bit of, that variety in there that's still all in the variety in the right places. Fruits, vegetables, foods, and then occasionally a little bit of chips, a little bit of egg yolk. We're being realistic. The to-go bags, fantastic preparer. I like myself, I just throw stuff in a bag. I will throw in some yogurt, some fruits, some maybe a shake. I'll get some sardines, Triscuits, hint of salt. Ricardo, beautiful. You see all the fruits there. You see the dips. I love how he uses the portion-controlled hummus to dip with vegetables. So it's all kind of pre-prepared, easy to bring, because you want to have a habit of bringing food with you in a food bag as often as reasonably possible. That way, when you're getting into that mind hunger zone, that early level, you can feed yourself. And even if you do still eat out, which is quite likely, even if you have a food bag, you're just at less risk and less often and less amount that you'll eat out. Not that you won't. So the idea isn't to never eat out and eat only out of a food bag, but you might find many times you won't need to eat out at all. And even when you do, having a food bag can prevent you from walking into any scenario, even grocery shopping, too hungry. Some more great pictures I want to just put to represent a totally vegan breakfast. So these are all tofu scrambles. So instead of egg whites, use tofu. You can add the turmeric, as you see. You still could do the avocado toast. You can have great amounts to take away with you with some grilled or slightly sautéed tofu. You can add flavor to extra firm tofu, which makes it, which is a very neutral flavor source of protein. So whatever you add to it, it certainly will take on that taste. So there's multiple opportunities if you are shooting for being really plant predominant, possibly even plant pure, or at least at times plant pure. Don't hesitate to go for tofu and trying a tofu scramble here. What's the idea as it relates to breakfast? So let's summarize breakfast and snacks. If you're truly not hungry, okay, let's say you've had an evening where you maybe ate more than you expected. You don't have to eat breakfast. Breakfast is not absolutely necessary and isn't the most important meal of the day that you may have heard of and so forth. It is an important meal for many, and most people who are eating healthfully and rather, let's say, in the moderately lighter side, will probably wake up with an appetite for breakfast. But if you're not going to have breakfast, be ready. Food bag, remember, on average, people tend to do better with long-term metabolic health and weight maintenance when they eat within 1 hour of awakening most of the time. In fact, in the National Weight Control Registry, the mass majority of participants do eat within 1 hour of awakening 5 to 6 days per week at least. But remember, just like a restaurant, rethink breakfast. You can have leftovers from a dinner. You can have egg white vegetable omelets at night. Forget about limitations. Open up your mind to all opportunities. Whatever you like to eat, whenever you like to eat, that's the mindset that we want you to have. We've mentioned plant predominance multiple times, and then we've mentioned here and tried to make a call for as many legumes as possible. I don't know if you got that message, but whether it's in a salad, whether it's in a soup, whether it's in an omelet, trying out a different type of ethnic dish, whether it's in the Mediterranean world, whether it's in the Latino world, beans, lentils, and peas. They are really the highest quality source of protein, not just in terms of health, but when you look at sustainability in terms of the earth and how many people we have. And again, I'm not a vegan, I'm just telling you as far as a plant-predominant flexitarian and talking about your health, protein from legumes provides also potassium and fiber with a nice low to moderate calorie density. Okay? And last but not least, as you're preparing breakfast, if you're one of those breakfast people, think about piggybacking. You're already in the kitchen, the preparation of the food bag. Because if you pre-prep everything, great, but if you're like myself, you just have a bag. I got a nice Detroit Lions food bag. When I make breakfast, I throw in, if it's a warmer time of the year, a nice gel pack to keep it cool, and I throw in whatever. Just throw that healthy stuff in a bag and bring it with you. So there you go. We're almost done. One more lesson to go, and we'll have completed the nutrition module. Thank you.